welcome to the Keemah.G podcast, and thank you for kicking it with us. This is a place where we are vulnerable and we are telling our truth. So today I'm sitting down with my girl, Miss Luslie Henry. Miss Luslie Henry. She's like, why are you balling on my government name? So today we're going to have a conversation. And this season on my podcast, what I'm doing is I'm focusing on the turning point in people's life. Mm-hmm. So if I didn't really know you, I would just do this whole introduction, but I'm not like Shay Shay Club. I'm just going to kick it as real as I could put it and tell people how I know you. So I first met Luslie at work. 6 o'clock in the morning, right? 6 o'clock in the morning. And I was late as usual, which I'm working on that. And she kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I asked her a question. And I was like, girl, I don't have time. You remember that? I was like, girl, I don't have time for it so early in the morning. So I went upstairs, and then from there, I was like, let me just break the ice and have a conversation with you. And from that day, we just never stopped talking.
Literally.
You know, it went from talking to doing your nails, building a sisterhood.
Yeah.
And I happened to learn a lot from you, and we learned from each other. And it's been, what, 7 years? No, it's been 6 years.
2018. Yeah.
So 7 years. Yeah, 7 years.
It's kind of fast.
Yeah, 7 years that I've known you. And I must say that I never said this to you before, but I said I was going to say it to you today. When I first met you until where you are today, I see that your spiritual growth has evolved so much.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. I remember Lucy, you were, and if I could say it, you were very closed off. You were very like,
true.
and you remember you told me how you are with other women, especially colored women.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to be that for you, you know?
Yeah.
And I just watched how you've grown spiritually. And I also learned what your past was, what you went through, and some of the current
Then we just started, girl. Okay.
some of the current things that you've been through. And I'm truly impressed.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I do know you hear we talk about the journey a lot. I've shared that with you and just the growth and the steps that we're working on and how God's working in our life. And I'm going to kickstart the conversation off by asking you this question. Hold on. I wrote them down because I'm not trying to forget anything. There's only one question. So my first question for you is, when did the self-healing work start for you, and what made you make this decision?
Ooh. It was 3 years. When did I start? 2016. Mm-hmm. But in general, I always knew that I needed to change. But I didn't want it to be for people. I wanted it to be for myself, and I wanted it to be natural.
What did you think that you needed to change?
Because I felt like I had a lot of turmoil, like inside. And it was not like, you know, some people, they say like, oh, you've been through this, so it's associated to that. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. But how did your turmoil look for people? Like, what made you know that there was turmoil within you? Like,
it's just a feeling. Just a feeling. And then I wasn't able to, there's things that would rub me the wrong way, but it would be an aura or an energy or something like that. And I didn't know how to navigate that. Okay. So it would come into an outburst or being very negative towards that feeling. Yeah. And I didn't know how to locate it. And I also, as you're grown, you don't really know the vocabulary or how to navigate that. So it would be into outburst, really. Okay. People did tell me, but honestly, I really didn't care what people thought.
So you were like, if you're like the angry little black girl sometimes.
Probably to some people, probably, and
okay.
and that was just my journey. That was part of it. Yeah, and I always said, like, whatever is gonna change in me, let it be natural. I don't want it to be because somebody identified something that I can't identify for myself.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, and from that point, things happened to me, and I also had to learn to forgive, and what forgiveness meant. Mm-hmm. And from that point on, I intentionally said, okay, you know what, I'm tired of suffering, I should say.
Yeah.
But it was like a lot of self-suffering, and I need to do something about it.
So what are the things that happened in that time that made you open your eyes to see that?
I had a really bad breakup. Other things happened too. I lost my one of my favorite aunts at that time. I had lost my grandfather. I was molested.
Ooh.
A lot of things happened within, I would say, a good 10 years. Honestly, every 3 years something was happening. Yeah. Literally every 3 years something was happening.
But you think that obviously that turmoil, because you unpacked a lot just now.
I know.
You said there was 2 deaths, there was molestation. Do you find that's very big reason as to why maybe you came across as angry or irritated or frustrated? Because I find, especially as Black women, our anxiety, our hurt, our pain comes through irritation, frustration, because I don't think we were always given that space to express ourselves. Not everybody, but it was very much what happens in the house stays in the house. Don't tell anybody. Oh, yeah. That was a very big thing, especially culturally rooted for us.
Yeah. But I was always vocal. That's something I was never. This is not something because something happened. I was always vocal. If anything, I'm more the type when I do go through something, I shut down.
Okay.
The outside world, anybody that's close, and then I wait until I'm in better space to get out of self-isolation.
Okay. So that time when you said, okay, after going through heartbreak, death, molestation, what was that pivotal moment where you're just like, I have to make a turn? Like, this is like, what was the final straw for you until you said, I have to maybe look in myself and what am I going to do to save my life, to evolve, to heal, to grow, to not be this angry person at times?
I just didn't care.
You didn't care?
Yeah, I came to a point I just didn't care what was next. I knew I wanted to stop hurting. That's when I started understanding suicide too. Not because I wanted to kill myself. What I understood of suicide is that people don't actually want to kill themselves. They want to stop the hurt. That's what I understood. That's when I started understanding that. Also, I was not eating. So I was like, okay, I was surviving off soda, something that would keep me full. You know how soda, the gas keeps you full? And that would be that. I knew I didn't want to like go into alcohol and all that stuff. I didn't want that, but I definitely stopped eating. I was, and cancer came into play as well. Yeah. So all of that came into play, and I'm like, okay.
At what age was cancer?
Cancer, I was 19.
19.
Yeah, cancer was 19. And then, keep having to deal with stuff that's happening to me. And I'm like, okay, if it's something that I'm doing or I'm putting out there, God showed it to me so we can turn it around and do something. But I'm tired of feeling like this. And honestly, had it not been everything up to that point, I would have never been able to be to do our job that we're doing now. Yeah. So that's also helped, and it helped build my character.
Cancer is actually it's kind of life-threatening.
Yes.
Yeah. So how was that experience? I know you've shared that with me before.
Yeah.
But it looks like teenage years was it was very difficult.
Very different.
So at the end of your teenage years, you're 19 and then you're diagnosed with cancer. What's that like?
Oof. The crazy part of it was not even, I was feeling sick, but for me to even go see the doctor, it was because I failed an exam. When I failed that exam, I was like...
You're like, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Exactly.
I'm going to the doctor.
Exactly. And it literally, and I know I was getting headaches and stuff like that, but I'm thinking like, oh, stress, midterms, finals, or whatever. But I literally failed that exam like... I might as well not have been there. It would have been better than the grade that I got at the time. So I went to the doctor and did some tests and stuff. And what I find interesting is that with this specific doctor, God bless him if he's still alive, he didn't. You know how some doctors they want to ask you a million questions before they even hear you out to your symptoms, and he was very quick and thorough. He was just like, no, we're going to do this and that. And then he called me and he had this sad face on. I don't know if he didn't want to have a poker face, but maybe I was so young or whatever. So he looked at me. He was very sad, like a father having to
tell his child.
Yeah, that's how it was.
Something's wrong happened.
And he's like, okay, you need to go. This is the result of the X-ray that we did. You need to go to the hospital right now. He gave me a whole bunch of paperwork. So I go, and at that time, this is not registering quite. I just know there's a tumor there, right?
Tumor where?
The tumor, it was the left side, right behind my breast, but it was not breast cancer. It was Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Okay.
And so I go to the hospital. They're like, just to look at your file, it's gonna be like 8 months. So I'm like, okay. So then I think I went to like 2 to 3 hospitals in the east, and they were saying the same thing.
Yeah.
My aunt, who unfortunately did pass away years later of also cancer, at the time I was living with my uncle, and when I came home to them to tell them the news, they're like, okay, we'll figure it out. So they called my aunt, who was a nurse, and she told me to go to the Jewish.
Yeah.
And the Jewish, they told me it's case by case. So we're gonna look at your file, and however urgent we deem it to be, we'll call you. I don't even think 2 weeks passed. They called me, and then they sat me in the office. I remember it's like 3 doctors.
Yeah.
And they're talking to me, asking me questions and stuff like that. They were like, "Do you have night sweats? Do you have like a huge weight loss or gain, whichever it was?" So me, I'm in there like, yeah, these are my symptoms or whatever. And they're like, yeah, so you have this thing called Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I was like, okay. They're telling me all these things, and I'm just like, so does that mean I'm not gonna go to school? Like, tell me what it looks like, you know? Like, thank you for the information, but tell me what that looks like. And I work a lot, so I was also working, going to school full time, and supporting myself 100%. And to them, they're like, she's not reacting, or maybe she doesn't understand. Then they send me to another room by myself with the psychiatrist at that point. And they're like, how did you come? And I said, I came by metro. How are you going back home? I was like, metro. Is there somebody that can come? All these questions.
Yeah.
And what I didn't know at the time, because, I'm from Florida, is that the suicidal rate was taking place a lot in the metros. So she's asking me all these questions. They asked me all these questions, and I'm just like, and it's not registered. I'm like, why is she asking me all these questions? Like, it's weird. And then she's like, do you feel like you're gonna hurt yourself? And I'm just like, why? It's like, oh, because of the news. And I was like, yeah, but you guys are still not telling me what that looks like. Like, am I gonna function? Am I not gonna function?
So you didn't know what it was at all?
No, I've never heard. I had one cousin at that point that had died of cancer. So to me, honestly, it was like, okay, am I gonna survive this? If I am, what does that look like?
Yeah.
If I'm gonna die, what does that look like? But I just need you to tell me what it's gonna look like.
What am I up to? What am I up against?
Because my reaction is not going to be cancer. Because cancer, if you're telling me it's going to be the end of it, I'll have a certain reaction. But if you're telling me it's going to be a survival, I have a different one.
Yeah.
But in their mind, they just felt like, okay, maybe she's disassociating something and is ready to just end it
herself. They weren't connecting the dots. You're like, I'm missing a little bit of information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So oh my goodness, so much happened in between, but it was so blurred because I just want to know what the end looks like the whole time. That's all I'm thinking about.
So how you get your diagnosis and you're already at a point where you're just giving up on certain things or you just don't care. How has that experience shaped you for where you are today? Like, what did you learn from that experience? How has it created you to evolve more into the person that you are today?
I see life differently. I see life differently. I care more about myself and people. And when I say I didn't care, it was everything. Yeah. Whether it happens or doesn't happen, my attitude was always like,
I don't give a shit.
No, not a bit. That was my attitude too. And I think that's what created in some people's eyes that I was probably negative. But it's just that I didn't, like, let's worry about what's happening today. Because the anxiety and all that stuff, for me, it was like, you can control tomorrow, so
do you think that was a little bit of a block because you didn't want to cope with things that were going on? Because I find like sometimes when I just don't give a shit, when I was younger, it was mainly because I was just like, if I could tune it out, it would be fine.
I was going through the motion. I was just going through the motion. What was the scary part for me? It was oh my god. It was my mom.
Yeah.
It was my mom. My mom, God bless her. um, I never saw her cry.
Yeah.
And that day I told her, cancer, well, for me, it felt like somebody was taking your hand inside of my chest every day and pulling it in. And my mom came in my room. I had an uncle also who's the father of my cousin that passed. He couldn't look at me because at the same time, what I received from that moment, it was that he probably felt like he was not going to see me again.
Yeah.
So he couldn't look at me. And I remember he left the room. At that time, my apartment was, I didn't have a window in my room. And it was dark. And then my mom came, and I know, and she couldn't look at me either. And I heard her bursting a cry in the bathroom. That day I said, okay, God, you know I do not care, but you're going to have to sustain my mom through this.
Yeah.
If I make it or I don't make it, my mom has to be okay. And that's what scared me the most. It was her suffering, not even mine. It was pitch black, and it was just me and God in the room. And I said, whatever it's going to be the outcome, make sure my family's okay.
Okay, yeah.
I don't care what happens to me. It's not because I don't have self-love or anything like that. I've always had that attitude, and I'm still learning today if it's a good thing to have or it's not. I don't know. One thing the doctors were saying is that you're going to get weaker and weaker with time. Girl, the next day, I kid you not, I started doing wigs. Because I started doing wigs.
You're like, my hair is falling out right now.
I was doing my own wigs, okay? And also I had to wear a mask. And I said, I'm not wearing a mask no more, okay? At that point, I was like, I have cancer, it doesn't have me. And then I started doing wigs. It was like, I was styling it, and then it came to a point where my cousins were asking me to do wigs for them. I was wearing my makeup. I was very thin, so I was able to like wear clothes and stuff like that I couldn't have worn
before
3-4 sizes before. And then and I was like, and that was the attitude I carried after that. It was that moment with God where I was just like, you let me know, but obviously God is going to give you either a verse or something like that. But I wasn't in the word like that.
Yeah.
I just knew how to pray, but I was not in the book like that. And yeah, it was that one-on-one, and literally the next day, it's like a burst of energy that I had. And I'm telling you, like, let's say today's what, Saturday? I will have chemo on Monday. I'm not out of bed before like the Monday, like another week, and the Monday that I have to go to chemo again. Yeah. So you don't see me. That when you see me is when I'm getting my chemotherapy. Yeah. So then at that point I would walk in to get my chemo, like, all right, shoot me up, do what you got to do, okay? And I would exit.
And that's what your attitude is now.
And I'm like, all right, see y'all in 2 weeks for my next treatment and stuff like that. And then I saw life differently, and it was not. And what God made me understand is like, it's not that I hate you or I need you to have more of the challenges that other people. What I understood that your testimonies and what we go through is not just for us. Yeah. It's for people around. How can you impact that person's life, even if you don't care, but somebody else is watching. Yeah. Somebody else is paying attention. Yeah. How can your testimony strengthen somebody else's spiritual journey, and how can you carry them through? I understood that from that point on, that it's not about me. Yeah. Like overall, it's not about us.
It's not about us, and sometimes we do make it about us. But this is the reason why, like, sharing our stories are very important. I don't know what it is to go through a life-threatening diagnosis, you know, but I did see my sister go through it recently, and it's something I never wish on anybody, myself, nobody.
I've always said that since when I had it. I always said that.
Yeah, and you don't know what it is until you've been up close and personal with it. Like, I would hear your story before, but I could only empathize. But when watching somebody that is like that red devil is the red devil,
Yes.
So here you are today. When you think about it, and there's more to unpack, we will definitely be sitting down again. But there is heartbreak, there is molestation, there is cancer. That's a lot for a teenager. A
Yep.
lot, a lot. What did life start to look like after cancer? How did you get up after all those years? You're 19, you're going into your 20s. Like, you're coming out of chemo, you're exploring different things. Like, was there any promises that you made to yourself? Was there any, I know you've seen life a different way, but what was your perspective overall? Like, how did you want to go through life after? Like, did you ever make those choices? Ask yourself those questions?
So that was I would say, so molestation and the death of my grandfather were before. Then it was cancer, and then it was a heartbreak.
The heartbreak.
And then it was the heartbreak. Cancer within itself, I wanted to celebrate life.
Okay.
No matter what, I wanted to, and not party, like get drunk and all that stuff. I just celebrate like any other thing. Now I'm big on birthdays. Like I like birthdays. I like to foresee like, oh, what can we do for your birthday? How
Kind
can
of
we get
found a
it
new
together?
appreciation of life.
Yeah, and it's like a different lens. Like, what can we do right now that we may not be able to do tomorrow? So it was definitely a positive after that. I was, it's like I get more excited about somebody else's than my own. Like, how can I help you on your journey? And I was just like, what's next?
You're seeing it outside of yourself. It's
Yes,
bigger than you.
Exactly. And
It's bigger than
before it was just like, all right, you invite me, you don't invite me to your birthday, that's cool. I'm gonna be in my bubble regardless. Now it's just like, if you're not doing something, I'm gonna do something. We're gonna
Luslie, what? It's true. It's true. Every time you're like, what are you doing this year, Key? I'm like, girl,
and you know
I don't
your
know.
unbotheredness.
I'm
like,
unbotheredness, but they come through all the time, whether they show up at your door or they call you or whatever. But that's what it is. So you found a new appreciation of life. And then comes the heartbreak. And the heartbreak is the one that I think is the hardest. No, I can't say that because I don't know what chemo is and all that. But heartbreak is just a pain in the ass. Like, it's a pain in the ass. So you get through all that and now you're at heartbreak. What has heartbreak taught you? That is, we will start to end off there. What has heartbreak taught you?
self-love
For real.
before the other person. Yeah. Self-respect and self-love has to be at the most important before anybody else.
Yeah.
And pouring more into someone else. And it's funny because it went from being so selfish, and then you have cancer, to be so into
Selfless.
selfless.
Then getting taken advantage of. And then after, you're just like, do I go back to my old me? Do I go back to my own me? Because I didn't appreciate the selflessness.
Exactly.
Lord, can you give me an answer? But that's not what he's trying to do.
Exactly.
He's trying to say that
There's a balance.
There's a balance to it. Yeah. You have to use discernment.
And how much did you love yourself, or how much did you respect yourself before this person came into your life? That's the big lesson. And it's so easy to point the finger, but another thing for me was just like, okay, let me sit down with myself. And then one thing is, we're so easy to get over things.
Yeah.
But let's go through this one. So it was like, and the crazy part is that I had to go through all the emotions. It was not just that one. Yes, it came later on, but then I realized I just got through stuff.
Yeah.
Even cancer. Like, I don't think, I think outside looking in, if I look at how it went for me, I immediately went back to work, immediately went back to school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Back to back. So
You didn't take a pause. You didn't even have time to reflect.
I didn't know what that looked like. And like I told you, I've seen my mom vulnerable once, and that's when her mother passed.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? With all the tools, then I also, when I went back to school, I went back to school for something different. I'm like, human behavior. How do we process things?
Yeah.
Why do we act a certain way? why do we speak a certain way? All that it started being super intriguing.
Yeah.
I went from somebody that was worried about her own mind to other people's, you know? So I went back to school for human behavior.
Yeah.
You know, and here we are now. And all of that, it was more like, okay, I'm going back to step one. I had to do a cry for that one. I had to do a cry for the molestation. My grandfather. I had to do a cry for cancer. I had to do a cry for the heartbreak.
The healing journey is not easy.
And I realized I was just going over instead of just going through. And I had to feel all these emotions to understand these emotions.
Yeah.
And then it's very important to, and what we're taught we can't be angry, we can't be sad, but we can. The important step
not
is
to stay there.
Not to stay there and not to become those negative emotions. We're 100% allowed to feel
We
them.
could be angry, but we shouldn't have anger within us to living with us.
Exactly. Don't become an angry person. Don't become a sad person. But we're allowed to all these emotions, and that's another thing that I had to understand and allow myself to be in it.
Yeah.
And now the conversation with my parents were also different. It was more like they'll say something, but I'm like, oh, did you ask me if I'm happy today?
Yeah.
Did you ask me if I'm happy today?
And their generation too, it's like we had the ability to learn these things. So, you know, it's tough for them because we're just like, they come from a time where they didn't have time to think about all these emotions.
Yeah.
But we're lucky to be granted that privilege to go to school and be able to apply it. Because I feel like for myself too, school is what really helped me to, the program that I was in, I'm not going to say school, the program that I was in allowed me to really understand human development, you know? And through understanding human development, it has allowed me to see things from a different lens, which sometimes I'm just like, I wish I could see it from the lens that I was seeing at 14 because then, you know, but God, you know, you're good.
But it's good to go back to that time to see, okay, this is how I processed it. And what I like to do, what I did is that also in those times that I was in, whomever was in my path that I may have destroyed, I did something to them. You know, I asked God to forgive me and allow them to forgive me. So that.
Did you ever have to go to that person, and did God ever instruct you to go to that person and apologize?
No.
Okay, that's really
No.
like when you got to do that, you're just like, no, I ain't doing that. Like,
But
for
I've
what,
never,
pride?
you know, as crazy as my reaction may have been back in the day, they were never unwarranted.
Yeah.
So I never like blasted somebody just for the fun of it or anything. I was never that person. But he did tell me to go back, and one person did reach out to me and said, and I don't recall. No, it was never nothing. It was not like a blast or anything like that. But she said the way I made her feel, it was like she could have ended her life in that moment. She did reach out to me to say that, and
I think you told me that one.
yeah,
time.
it was Facebook message. After high school, she said she wanted to. I'm not sure if she used the word kill herself, but it was along those lines that she didn't want to go through and go through life after that moment she had with me. But in retrospect, she also took ownership of why I reacted that way. In that moment.
And maybe she understands the reaction, but the reaction for her was too heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was too heavy. She wasn't able to take that, even though she understood why the reaction was there. So overall, because I feel like the next time we have this conversation, there's a few things we'll talk about after, but you see, I told you we're going to have the conversation today, and then it's going to give me an idea for another conversation. That's why you're talking, I already have it. But if there's one thing that you could say about doing the inner work and getting to a place where you're just like, what is it about me that I have to change to get the life that I want? You know, regardless of what I went through in life, what would be some words you would leave a person with who may be considering, or maybe there's another girl that has your story that maybe has been angry like you have because of all the multiple things that happened in the developmental years. Like teenage years is very important for us. That sets you up for your adult years. So what would you say to that person?
What I would say is that that's your season. It's not your lifetime. It's not your life's. Yeah, it's not your lifetime. It's a season. Every season look at this season we're in right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy outside. And last year we were like, where is the snow?
Yeah.
You know, so it will never look the same. You don't want it to look the same because then you become stagnant.
Yeah.
Always try to take what has it taught me, what is it teaching me, and how can I evolve from that season to the next. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Thanks, Lou.
You're welcome.
These are short and small for now, but the next time we come, you're going to be on the next season, okay? And we're going to go a little deeper, girl. There might be more tears. So thank you for sitting with me, Lou.
You're welcome.
Thanks.